Wu Wei, I refer to Slavoj Zizek's point on this issue that I found charming. When talking about an old, beloved, New Age sentiment that perhaps defined what our relationship to solutions to climate change as societies might be in the grand scheme of things, and how that was to work, was that there was this fundamental cosmic providence in humans and their connection to nature that was sacred, and by realization of this, as we put it, reconnecting with nature in body and mind, going back to nature, and by that affirmation we live in harmony. Don't get me wrong, I should like to argue why there is still sensibility in an affirmation of nature, provided that you heeded Zizek's point of how the problem with that. Regarding our interpretation of nature as mother, as nurturer, as provider, and a so-called balance with it is necessary. The very nature of balance was that it was always imperfect. It presupposes that the axiom of that nature we refer to, in relation to us as humans, is something that in itself remains a constant for us to be in relation with or without humans contributing to climate change, although we are. That constant is, say for example, the base of a civilization, its cropland, irrigation. It is to be assumed that nature behaves in such a way that there is no rule saying that the circumstances for which the state of equilibrium that permits the conditions for photosynthesis in one region, as opposed to another, are obligated to cater to your patterns. That's not how this dynamo functions. As ages pass, in fact, we are at the risk of being completely invalidated by that process. As weather patterns change, volcanoes erupt, and the whole manner of things that could be thrown our way, we are reminded of where we stand in the grand scheme of things. Zizek also then says that, in light of this truly unpredictable, indiscriminate nature we are to confront in the future, rather than be led into a trap of assuming too much, we instead be a mirror, or find a way to somehow be as adaptable as our circumstances are unpredictable. To have one-upmanship in flexibility, and that this was wiser ecological. Political goal. Delicate air currents, intertwining networks of events, stirring storms, mixtures of hot and cold air, new chemical elements introduced, as is the case in volcanic eruptions, altering compositions of the air. Raising temperatures, bleaching coral reefs, depleting fish sources. Eventually, when the walls close in, the straw on the camel's back reaches us. Throughout geological time, the Earth has done this many times before. What we were capable of as actors upon it was but commonsensical. But nonetheless, this seems easily trivialized by issues of literacy and interest. Once again, kings, men, their misinterpretations of greater nature, and their lack of humility before it, even complete negation of it. And therefore one's upcoming, we need to preserve as much rudder as possible to our ecologies, to provide longevity. The commonsenicality of the interconnected, but of one to the other, and therefore fragile and dissonantly disturbable systems was simultaneously scientific and intuitively universal quality about nature. Why it fails hot-headedness, we should not accept so lightly.